Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm a nasty sweaty mess because I've already put in some work this afternoon. We're in the tunnel, obviously, if you couldn't tell. I'm just going to walk you through the process of how I'm amending these beds, flipping these beds, and getting them ready for fall crops. It is hot out here today. Fall is on the way. The mornings are cooler, the evenings are cooler, but still in the middle of the day we're reaching like low 90s. And unfortunately, that's the only time I could work today was in the middle of the day, so it's hot. I still got my shade cloth on the tunnel, so it makes it a little more bearable, but yeah, it's just hot. I just got done moving a ton of dirt. That's why I'm sweaty. I didn't film that because who wants to see me move a bunch of dirt? But I'll explain to you here in just a second why I moved a bunch of dirt in here. Okay, y'all, so I've actually had several messages. I guess it was on Instagram, or maybe it was comments on YouTube. I don't actually remember. But people wanting to know how I'm amending my beds in here. And so I promised I would film that and talk through that process. So that's what I'm going to do today. Hopefully it's helpful to you. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm actually just learning how to properly amend beds. So if this method doesn't work for you, that's fine. Pick a method that does work for you. That's the thing about amending beds. I think that's why it's so confusing, because you see all these different methods. People do it different ways. But I'm just going to talk you through the way I'm doing it, and maybe it'll be helpful. Okay, so first things first, all this dirt you're seeing, this is what I just moved. You're going to have to ignore kind of this mess here and just focus on this here, because this is what I just kind of leveled out and moved around in here. This is all topsoil. Tyler and I went yesterday and ended up being about 4 tons of topsoil. And we literally had about, 2 or 3 hours to pick it up, get it back home, and unload it off the trailer. And the only way we had to unload it was by hand. So we shoveled 4 tons of topsoil into the tunnel yesterday, and basically just kind of dumped it in here. Didn't spread it out because we didn't have time to. Now today, I started kind of pushing it around and getting it level. So the reason we did this is because this was actually something that was supposed to be done last year before I ever planted in this tunnel. If you're new here, this is only the second season I'm using this tunnel. This was built for me by a mindful farmer who also has a YouTube and Instagram. And the summer season was the first year I had grown in it. So I'm just entering my second season with it. The ground in here was very unlevel. It slopes downward. So there's a huge gap down there. Not on this row anymore because I just moved all that dirt. But we had intentions of having it all leveled off and ready to go before the summer season last year. But the wildest thing, or at least to me it was wild, we had a shortage of topsoil last year. So I had no way of leveling this. We just put a bunch of compost down, amended the ground, and I just made do with unlevel ground. So I'm trying to correct that now. It was pretty important to me to have things level in here this year, or this season I should say, because I'm going to be doing a lot of direct seeding and succession sowing. Oops, sorry about that. In here, and I felt like with how it's pretty unlevel. With how unlevel it is, I was afraid a lot of the seed would wash under these baseboards, and it would just be pointless. So that's what we're working on now, is trying to get things leveled out. So I have one bed here that it's level. I'm going to go ahead and amend it, and I'll just walk you through that process. I'm just going to do the one bed today because I got to pick kids up from school here in a little bit, so I don't have just a lot of time, but I'll talk you through that process, okay? Like I said earlier, there's a lot of ways I feel like you can amend. I feel like, some people like to just top dress with a little compost and go for it. Some people seem to have their own recipes that they use season after season to amend their beds. Both of those are probably great. I don't know. I don't typically use those methods. I'll say this is really the first few seasons that I've amended at all. So what I'm using is soil analysis. So with soil analysis, you basically take a sample of soil. And actually in this tunnel, we took, maybe 3 or 4 samples. We just picked random areas, dug deep into the ground, put it in a bag, and sent it off through our extension office. So for us, it's free through the extension agency. I don't know other states. I'm in Arkansas, so I don't know how it is for other states. It probably is free as well. I know that there are companies that you can pay to have your soil analysis done. but we just use the free service because that's what works. I will say, if you're going to amend using soil analysis, it's something you need to be thinking about weeks in advance before you're ready to plant for your next season. So our plan is to soil test 2 times a year, okay, before the spring and summer garden, and then again before the fall winter garden, and we'll just continuously do that forever. That way we know exactly what we need. However, that being said, it takes 3-ish weeks to get that analysis done and get it sent back to us. So it's something you need to think about in advance and plan ahead for. That way you kind of stay on top of your game and you don't get behind. For us, soil analysis, soil testing just makes sense because you know exactly what you need to put in the ground. You're not putting anything extra. You're not wasting money on extra stuff that you don't need, and you're not missing anything really important that you do need. So, I don't know. I feel like, why not send off this free sample and they'll tell you exactly what you need. On the flip side of that, I think the thing that really deters people from soil testing is the fact that it can be kind of difficult to understand. So I think that can be a big deterrent to people not wanting to go that route, do soil analysis, just get this piece of paper back and you're like, well, what the heck does all this mean? I don't know what to do with it, because that's definitely been the case for me in the past, and for this year too. I got my sample back. So this is the second time we've tested in this tunnel. The first time we tested was just, bare ground that had never been touched, and not shocking, it was deficient in everything. I mean, it needed everything pretty much. So we threw whatever we needed to at it. We tested again for this fall garden, and surprisingly, I expected it to still need quite a bit of amending. But we got it back. The pH was spot on. And then a lot of those macronutrients, the main nutrients you think about, like your nitrogen and potassium and whatnot, those were pretty spot on. And we got down, it kind of broke it down even into the micronutrients, and something called your CEC. And I'm not even going to go into that because I don't hardly know anything about CEC, but that was off a little bit as well. So anyways, got that back. Was really impressed with the results. It was like, man, 1 season of hard work, and we've really done a lot of correction out here. But I really didn't know what to do with the results. I didn't know what organic amendments I needed to correct those micronutrients. So I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what I did. The company I used, and I am going to promote them on here. I'm not in any way affiliated with them. They don't know I'm going to promote them. They don't know me from Adam, so I'm not getting any kickbacks from this. I was really just impressed with their knowledge and how much they helped me out, and I do know they ship. So if you're in the same boat as me and you're looking for help with your soil analysis and the amendments you need and whatnot, you can totally shoot them a message and they'll help you all out. So the company I used is out of Northwest Arkansas, and I actually mentioned them in my last video, but I'll mention them again because they were really that impressive. They're called Garden IQ Organics. So they are all about organic gardening and amendments, hence the name, Garden IQ Organics. They do have a website, and they have a Facebook and an Instagram, I think. I'll link them all down below so you guys can check them out. But basically all I did, y'all, was I got my analysis in. I tried to kind of figure it out myself, was really overwhelmed, a little bit frustrated. Sent it to them, was like, look, this is what I got going. I need help. What do I need? And they told me exactly what I needed, how much I needed. They broke it down into, was I growing in a tunnel? Was I growing outdoors? What was the square footage of my tunnel? And they just laid it all out for me. This is what you need to buy. This is how much you need. This is how much you'll apply. This is how you'll apply it. So it was just like foolproof, really. So that's how I determined the amendments I needed in my tunnel today. So I did a soil analysis. When I got the analysis back, I sent it off to Garden IQ Organics. They shot me a message back within 24 hours, and then I was set to go. So I would definitely recommend using them. They're very knowledgeable, and they do ship. So my beds in here are going to be 30-inch beds. What we're going to focus on is this closest bed here. It's from the baseboard here all the way to this. I don't know if you can actually see the string there, but the post, it's got string running all the way down. So it's a 30-inch bed. My walkways are going to be 18 inches, and that's what I'm just going to do all the way across. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that for the summer garden, that was the first time I ever grew in a tunnel. I was trying to make it really simple on myself. I did not come anywhere close to utilizing all of the space in this tunnel. Now I'm feeling a little more comfortable, so I'm wanting to really try to utilize the space in here and see what I can do. So I'm going to do these 30-inch rows with 18-inch walkways all the way across. I haven't marked them off yet because I still have peppers going. I still have some tomatoes that are going to ripen over here. I'm going to let those finish out, and then I'll start to do those rows over. And I'm hoping to keep those beds and rows and walkways and whatnot the same. So I'm not constantly season after season changing up my my row dimensions. I think it should be mentioned that, you know, this topsoil in here is new. So we took our soil sample, we sent it off, and then once we got the analysis back, then I came in with the topsoil just because that's how life worked out for us. So this topsoil was not part of the soil analysis. So I think it does make a difference. So what I'm going to do, and there's no like science behind this. It's just because, I don't know, I feel like it's what I should do. I'm going to take my amendments that they told me to use. I'm going to amend this bed all the way down. And then I've also got some rabbit compost on hand, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of compost down just because there's really no organic matter in this topsoil, and I just feel like it probably could use a little bit of organic matter. Now there is underneath where you see way down there, that's compost down there. So underneath the topsoil there is compost, but y'all, this here is probably, gosh, 10 to 12 inches of topsoil. I'll show you on this side because I haven't done this side. But that's how, from the bottom of that baseboard all the way to the ground, that's how low it slopes. And so I filled all that up with topsoil. So I've got quite a thick layer of topsoil there. So I think I probably need a little bit of compost on top. Also, I have 2 amendments here that they recommended. The first one is azomite, however you want to pronounce it. And that's really to help with my micronutrients. And as you can see, these are actually made by the company I bought them from. And then this is their general vegetable fertilizer. And you can see it's a 484, so that if you know the numbers, these are the macronutrients. So it's a nitrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and then potassium. So this is going to help just I'm not putting much of this down because I don't need a whole lot of it. I'm just going to use what their recommendation was to me. It also has instructions on the bag if you want, light, normal, or heavy application. I'm going to go with what they told me to do. Same with this. I'm going to go with what they told me to do on that. So that's what we're going to do. And you can see here, I've got, easy access to this whole bag here. I've got nice little cut marks in this whole bag because I was out here yesterday working, and my sweet little Tucker had a shovel, and he was just slicing it to pieces, and he got about 3 slices in before I looked over and realized what he was doing. Okay, you can see it. So I just weighed it out based off the recommendation they gave me. It's hard to see the vegetable meal fertilizer, but it's in there. It's the yellow stuff, and then this white stuff is that azomite. And so I need to run down. I left my compost down by the house. So I'll run down and grab that real quick, and I will be right back. I'm going to turn you around and show you what I did. I went down and picked up that, hear the neighbor dog barking. Went down, picked up that compost, just kind of spread it as evenly as I could down the whole row. They make really cool tools to use to actually kind of mix your amendments into the ground. I don't have one of those cool tools, maybe one day. So for now, my cool tool is just what I have on hand, which is just a rake. I took my rake and kind of just did the best I could, mixing it in, making it as even as I could. So now my 130-inch bed here is officially amended. Ideally, what I'd do is go ahead and water this in, and I would plant in it. However, this is real life, and I'm out of time. I got to go pick my kids up from school. I really wanted to be able to get a shower before I did that, but that's not going to happen. So I got to go get my kids from school. I'll probably try to water this in and plant it either this evening or tomorrow evening after work. So that's how I'm amending. That's how the rest of this tunnel will go. 30-inch beds, they'll all be amended the same way. except for the compost. I'm only putting compost where I have that topsoil, just to give it that little bit extra of organic matter. Hopefully this video was a little helpful to you. If you're overwhelmed by amending beds, it can definitely be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be though. I would definitely give that Garden IQ Organics a shout out. Again, I will link them down here. Again, I'm not getting any kickbacks from that. Check them out, send them your analysis. They can help you out, and it does not have to be super overwhelming. I hope you all have a good rest of your day.